but the cars will come a little bit closer to the screens. So, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to start the second round of the E-BaTCC Turbo Cup Championship. As we get going, the green flags have been waved, and it looks like it's a very decent start from Taliano. Svetens is still second. Edvin Žadeikis lines behind him, and there's, as usual, a very big pile of cars trying to chase down the leaders and win a couple of spots. This is one of the slightly more dangerous corners after the race start because, well, the cars approach the turn at high speeds, and then there's a very long braking zone. Sometimes we had very big accidents in the real-life events. Currently, I think we had the most decent and a very clean race start so far. Talianos still leading the pack over Svetins and Žadeikis. Kreckas lines himself behind Žadeikis. Kašoni fifth. So at this moment, everyone will try to adapt themselves to the track, to the corners, and to the conditions. If my system is correct, we have 32 degrees of asphalt temperature, 100% of grip. Someone went wide there on one of the exits. It might have been Bielskus, who is currently 8th. He runs behind his teammate. Welcome a new team on board into this championship since Studia. A couple of drivers have joined this team to race in this championship and try to bring some valuable points. As we complete the first lap of this evening so far, look at the gap of Talianos at 6/10 against Svetins and almost 1 second against Žadeikis and Kreckas, who finds himself right on the tail of Edvin Žadeikis. Let's join the onboard of Grantas Kreckas as we will try to chase down Edvin Žadeikis for the third spot in this race. I've talked a little bit with Edvin Žadeikis before this race, and well, he could only say that it is really hard to drive this car constantly on the limit. If you want to be fast, you have to go fast, and you risk to make mistakes that cost a lot of time. And, well, what he meant was you basically have a very thin line between grip and no grip on the front tires. So if you want to do fast lap times, you need to attack the corners. And when it works, it works. But sometimes if you're just a tiny bit too fast, you start losing the grip on the front tires, and that's where all the time is being burnt down. So it's one story during qualifying sessions and pre-qualifying session, and it's definitely a whole different story during the races. Yeah, because you can understand one tiniest mistake in a pack of cars grouped like this, closely together, you risk to lose quite a lot of places so far. 1 minute 30.2. Look at the pace of Talianos. So he put in He has put in a huge amount of laps into his practice and preparation for this race, and so far it looks it has worked out nicely for the driver who is currently in the lead of this race. So he won the qualifying session. There is no points for the pole position, but then you are being rewarded with the biggest prize, and that's the highest starting position that you can get in a race like this, where every driver competes in identical machinery, and actually the setups are also identical on these BMWs, so what the drivers can adjust on their cars is just the fuel amount, and definitely everyone has identical fuel amount for a 20-minute sprint race, while Dainius Butvila runs wide, kicks the wall, runs sideways, manages to keep it together, loses to Narbutas and gets back on the racetrack. And you could see how the car understeered into the concrete wall as Dainius Butvila was trying to battle with Jofert, and he was just a little bit too fast. Oh, Narbutas clips the curb. This is yet another Sim Studio driver who has joined the field. He is up to 11th, but after that mistake, he might lose the position, though no, Dainius Butila just made a bigger mistake and he's being now chased down by Reizin, Juodis and Straupe, one of the championship organizers. Big battles and some small shunts between the drivers as Butila, I believe it's again the issues of the timing table. I thought Butila has lost another position. No, he is still behind Narbutas, running 12th. And getting back into our top 10 runners, it looks like everything is still calm and normal here as Meškelis tries to chase down Vincenzik. Because both of the cars are slightly losing to the car in front. That's Bielskus and Ostlund. Ostlund is making a move, and it looks like it was successful. Jofert is now right on the tail of this battle. Let's join Jofert while he is trying to look at what's happening in front of him. Some camera glitches making the car disappear at some parts of the racetrack, but let's focus on the battle in front of Jofert as we enjoy the views from the outside camera. Yep, Assetto Corsa has this nice and funny glitch, so let's get back on track from the main cameras to try and see the real cars racing, well, the real virtual cars racing rather than the shadows of the cars, as Ostlund has been dragged out wide slightly by Bielskus, still battling side by side. Bielskus is back into P8. Jofert finds himself now 9th. Ostlund lines right behind him. Narbutas, Butvila, Reizin. This is a big group of cars. Oh, and there's someone in the wall. That's Vincenzik in the wall. Oh, and he couldn't brake his car in a correct manner. You need to go back to the pit lane. He's on the fastest corner of the racetrack. I wonder what happened to Vincenzik. But he was flying around the track and hitting the barriers, and he definitely didn't look too good for Vincenzik, who was doing a really decent job. But yep, those battles are still are still alive on the racetrack, and well, it was a very big accident, but it's no wonder that we see big accidents on the Bikernieki racetrack, which has these concrete barriers right on the edge of the tarmac. Just a very thin line of grass separates the drivers from the concrete wall, and we definitely had very big accidents on the real track. As we have a battle between Radeikis, Svetins and Kareckas. Oh my, this timing sheet, sometimes it misses the battles on the racetrack. This is still Kareckas versus Svetins. Radeikis is in front, but that battle is not over. Look at the gap of Talianos. He has the biggest smile on his face at this moment on this racetrack because the drivers behind him, they are going mad and trying to fit in one corner. 3 cars battling for second position. Look at Kajone, actually, he has joined that battle, so 3 cars losing a huge amount of time as Radeikis found himself in P2 while Svetins dropped to P3, almost losing to Grantas Kareckas. Grantas Kareckas knows that he cannot wait any second longer and tries to go on an attack move. This is also a risky move because you find the cars running so close besides each other. You need to be very careful to avoid bigger contacts because we have live stewarding working this evening, and any smallest mistake it's very easy to make when you are in a tight battle, and you can not only lose position on the track with that small mistake, any contact, you can also receive a post-race penalty, which might hurt your results even more. And this championship is a 5-round championship with 10 races in total, and we do not have any drop round in this year, so every driver wants to finish as high as possible in every race. So a lot of things for the drivers to consider, not only to be fast, not only overtake your rivals, but you have to really measure how hard you want to go for that. And remember, this is the first race. The top 10 finishers will start the second race in a reversed order, and you can see that the pace slightly differs. Kashoni is 5 seconds ahead of Joford, but in the second race Kashoni will start behind Joford, behind Bootfilla, behind Oslut, and whoever will finish behind him in top 10. Oh, looking at the results while we were enjoying these battles for P2 and they are still live, we've lost Bielskus, Juodis, Meškelis. I'm not sure who else was involved. It looks like we had a very huge accident and we kind of lost the drivers dropping. Yeah, sorry, I was slightly distracted by a couple of important notices, but let's keep focusing on the track. Only half of the first race has been completed, and we have already seen plenty of battles, plenty of lost places, and there is still plenty of time for the drivers to kind of get back to the positions they were at. Svetens tries to hold on. Looks like Vaškevičius and Rudzinskas had a very serious accident. Not sure if that was the cause of some of the drivers who were running in top 10 places dropping quite a lot of positions. Vaškevičius, he received a drive-through penalty. It's a shame I don't get the penalties if they are being handed out this evening. But let's focus on the driving and get back to racing Kareckas. No matter what he does, he's still behind Svetens in P4. But remember, Kareckas has a BMW. Someone was definitely off the racetrack while I've heard some interesting sounds in my headphones. And we will have penalties only post-race, so no live penalties here. So the drive-through was for some sort of other issues. Juodis is out of the race, so is Chacha and Gagliardini. So 3 drivers already with a DNF, and the race is yet to see the checkered flag for the first time this afternoon. Qualifying session is done. Talianos is also way far in the distance, as Žadeikis found himself overtaking Svetens going up into P2. He had an advantage, but it looks like he made a small mistake on the previous lap. 1 minute 31.1. Svetens 1 minute 30.7, so he lost 4 tenths. And remember, losing 4 tenths in a car like this, when you have such a huge competition, it always and most definitely hurts your results. So Edvin Žadeikis needs to stay focused and look at what's happening ahead of him. That's Ulvidaite and Meškelis battling for P17. I believe Meškelis lost even more places trying to get back into top 10 positions, but it looks like and most probably this is his good result over not only in this race, but it's gonna be very hard for him to do good in the championship overall, because he had a big accident on the Nemuno Žiedas racetrack. In the second race, he had a very big accident on the Bikernieki racetrack during the first race. Bielskus trying to chase down Straupe. And let's try and get back to this hot spot on the track. Looks like Žadeikis managed to recover slightly. 1 minute 30.8 versus 1 minute 30.8 versus 1 minute 30.9 and 1 minute 30.8. Again, this is your top 5 drivers minus Talianos, who is out in front, 6 seconds ahead of Kajoni, and still continues to dominate on this Bikernieki racetrack event. This is the second round of the E-BaTCC BMW Turbo Cup. And it's already a very nice tradition from the BATCC organizers to start off the season in the virtual environment, with a very successful championship running throughout the seasons. I believe this is the 6th championship already that has taken place on the virtual racetracks. That most of the drivers, well, not most of the drivers, that some of the drivers competing in this event enter in the real life series, and it's definitely nice to see this new BMW G20, the Turbo Cup car, showing the experience on the virtual racetracks for the first time. These new cars, this is a new class that will take place, will start its lifespan this year, and everyone looking at the screens, including the engineers and the teams working and preparing these cars for the real championships, they are all excited to see how these cars are doing on the tracks, because usually this is a very nice, the virtual tracks are kind of a very nice tool to look at what's happening in front. Remember, we had and we still have the 325 Cup class, which is still taking place, and we have the virtual part of it, and it's so close to the real life companion that, well, you can most definitely compare the lap times on most of the tracks that the championship is going to, and you will be very, very close to the real timing. So it's also a very nice tool for the real drivers to prepare for the championship, and not only for the drivers but also for the engineers to try and gather up some data from the simulators to try and work on the setups. So with this brand new car that not only the drivers are unfamiliar, but also the engineers. No one knows how it's gonna work on the real tracks. It's really nice to have this championship taking place with such a huge competition, and well, some knowledge will be extracted from the virtual track and from the virtual version of this championship and brought over to the real cars. I'm pretty sure about it. That's Butvil battling with Ostlund. Currently for P7 after that bigger accident, as where we lost more of the drivers competing for higher places. Meškelis still finds himself behind Ulvidaite. Bielskus still finds himself behind Kovalevskis, and well, you can be faster during the qualifying sessions and during the practice sessions than your rivals, but when it's race time, and if you find yourself in a very bad situation like Meškelis or Bielskus do, where you lose places after some accident, maybe they have a slightly damaged car, but with the drivers being just a tiny bit slower than themselves, it's basically game over, because there's no time during these races to gain on the drivers that you are only just a tiny bit faster during the qualifying sessions. And that's how important it is when you find yourself surrounded with battles during the race. You have to definitely think about it. And look at Grantas Kareckas. Well, once he was very close to Svetins, but I'm pretty sure he thought quite carefully about it. He thought about the championship points. He's currently in the lead. Talianos is 9th, so Kareckas has 70 points. Talianos has 29 points before start of this race. Well, they had it because they're already racing and looking for some new points, but Kareckas definitely knows the mathematics, even though he's very young, but he is already very, very experienced sim racer, and also a real racer thanks to the Dream to Drive team, where they gave a chance for a lot of the drivers to try themselves out, be the fastest in the championship, which has seen virtual and real life competitions, and Grantas Kareckas was the youngster who was the fastest of them all, not only on the virtual racetracks, but also he has been given the chance on the real track, and to everyone's surprise, he also was very fast here, there, so he won the championship, and Grantas Kareckas already with some real life experience thanks to Dream to Drive team, and he showed that the knowledge that you gather while driving the virtual cars, it definitely helps you out on the real tracks. He was definitely very fast during some events that he entered last year. But I think it's already to no one's surprise because it's not the first time we see a driver coming to the real world from a sim track and being very fast there. That's Viglione Racing. I think it was a small contact and there might be some penalties here. Well, positions were not swapped, but I'm pretty sure that these stewards will take a look at it. Is it Italianos pushing to the max and ready to take the fastest lap time of this race as we approach the finish line? It's the last lap of the first race. And around the final corner, Italianos taking the checkered flag in the first race, and he will start the race 10th in the second one. Žadeikis finishing second, Svetins third, Kareckas fourth, and Koscioni taking the fifth place. Well, everything seems nice and calm after the big battles took place earlier on. That's still Racing and Viglione. Oh, actually, Viglione managed to overtake Racing for P9, but that's pole position for Racing if we are correct. Narbutas 11th, Straupe 12th, Kovalevskis 13th, Bielskus 14th, way back behind Kovalevskis, Slisans 15th. Oh, Meškelis managed to overtake Ulvidaite for P16, but still, can you imagine? We have 3 divisions running, and Ulvidaite, the only girl that is on Div 1, is fighting the guys as she does on the real tracks, and she is definitely gathering more experience for herself and preparing for the 2025 E-BaTCC season. So this was the first race, and let's head over to the results screen. I believe that's Vaškevičius still staying on the racetrack. Actually, he's still racing, so he's 22nd out of what we have here. I think we have 24 drivers, so this is full grid, maybe 23. Some referee cars are in the mix, so 22 cars, but anyways, let's go quickly through the results again. So Italianos over Žadeikis, over Svetins, Kareckas, and Koscioni. These are your top 5 finishers. Jofert 6th, Oslund 7th, Butvila 8th, Viglione 9th, and Racing finishing 10th. And well, we can look closely at Romet Racing in the second race. He was pretty fast during the race, but he was in the mixed in some battles. He will start the race first, the second race first. So Narbutas 11th, Straupe 12th, Kovalevskis 13th, Bielskus P14, Slisans 15th, Meškelis 16th, Ulvidaite 17th, Rudzinskis 18th, Jansons 19th, Vaškevičius 20th, Vincensik 21st after that accident, and Juodis 22nd. Let's take a quick break, and we will be back with more on-track action very soon.
for the ride of your life. Shop.
All my life been looking for it. I think I found something to help with easing the pain. This voice inside my head isn't dead. I think it's growing. Soon we will be one and the same. I've been going to the racetrack. Spent all my money on the dog in the bed. I put my heart into an 8-track. How about that? My life was perfect, now it's starting to crack. Oh no.
Gear up for the ride of your life. Shop now.
And welcome back to the second race of the second round, Bikernieki racetrack in Latvia, the capital city Riga, one of the best circuits in the Baltic states. I actually enjoy traveling to Riga the most. The races there are most exciting, and let's get our guys rolling for the second and final race this evening. Racing starting from pole ahead of Viglione and Butvila. That's gonna be some real battles between the drivers. Racing putting a decent start. I think Viglione had a small wheel spin while shifting gears, or maybe he shifted a little bit too early because he lost a little bit of ground to Svetin, who seemed to struggle with his start. But look at the back, there's battles, contacts, rubbing and scrubbing everywhere. Cars are being forced off the racetrack. I think that's Kajoni losing quite a lot of places. Adam Kajoni, the winner of the second race 2 weeks ago, is now way down in the distance. Miškelis and Bielskus battling each other after they were unlucky in the first race. They need to stay focused here. Now someone's off the racetrack. Put one wheel into the gravel and that will slow you down. Edvinas Žadeikis is up into P6. Who's running slow? That's Raisin. That's Raisin. Actually, who was off the racetrack, and he's being pushed down by his rivals now. So Raisin down to P9. Viglione taking advantage of that. Butvila trying to chase him down. The teammate of Kajoni. That's the same livery, but no team for both of the drivers, but they are usually driving for the international racing team. No, it's actually international racing team for Kajoni. And what about Butvila? I don't see him on the screen, so maybe I'm looking at the wrong screen. That's Baklajani team. Enough of the team battles. Let's focus on the driver battles on the racetrack because it's really hot. Look where Grantas Karetkas found himself. He's now P4, trying to chase down Jofert as Radeikis struggles behind Ostlund. He's faster here down the straight. There's a very nice opportunity opening into turn 1, but that's of course definitely in the head of Ostlund. He runs tight. Oh, that's Butvila off the racetrack. Butvila off the racetrack doing the rallycross style. This is not the event, Dainus. We definitely have a rallycross event. I think Kovalevskis is in the barriers, so more drama for the road racing team. Butvila manages to hold on and on to P4 with that off-road style. We have a rallycross track here in Latvia. What's happening? Every driver wishes to drive not only on the tarmac, but a little bit off, and once you put at least one wheel off the tarmac here and hit that gravel, that's gonna slow you down way, and everyone behind will try to overtake you, and that creates these situations where we have a lot of cars trying to battle for places. Radeikis is not able to extract that speed he had during the qualifying session. Received a couple of messages from Radeikis that he was going a couple of very fast lap times, but with, well, the situations, well, with the car handling he was talking about earlier, it's definitely really hard to stay on the track and make no mistakes while going fast. Edvinas Žadeikis, I think he had to lift slightly, and now he's under pressure from Svetins. Svetins P7th, he was running second in the first race, but Edvinas managed to overtake him in the first one. Now Edvinas Žadeikis going for a late move. This is a contact. Edvinas Žadeikis goes sideways. That's definitely a very, very huge shunt. Oh, Edvinas Žadeikis spins around. Who he's taking with him is that Straupe? Nope, actually. That's Romet Racing. So Edvinas Žadeikis and Romet Racing both find themselves at the back of the pack. There you go, from hero to zero. Edvinas Žadeikis came here into this championship to dominate the race as well, at least to try and battle for the championship after this mistake that he made. And well, it was a very small mistake, just a small decision mistake to try and go for it into turn one. He didn't want to waste too much time. And that's where he found himself now, right at the back of the pack, running P22. Remember, every race counts in this championship, so the most you can hope after an unsuccessful race like this is just for some bad finishes of your rivals. It's definitely possible. Still a lot of races on the calendar, and it might go wrong for your main rival as Viglione sets the fastest lap time. And wow, I definitely forgot about Talianos. So Talianos is the next driver, the fastest driver on the field, who was involved in some accidents, so definitely plenty of work for race control after this race to try and hand out all the penalties after these lots of accidents. I think it's gonna be a very long night for race control this evening. Of course, jokes aside, 2 20-minute races, a lot of accidents, but that shouldn't be too many. And as usual, well, when we'll finish the race, we will look at the results, and the results will be unofficial because, well, definitely penalties will be handed out. We've seen some penalties being handed out 2 weeks ago, and that changes the order that the drivers finished the race and how they are being regrouped after those penalties being handed out. But, well, it's definitely naive to hope for some clean races in a championship like this. 24 identical cars on a virtual racetrack. It still runs pretty smooth. And I can tell you one thing, on the real tracks, during the real races, we definitely have more accidents that will look more nasty than the accidents on the racetrack. That's Grantas Kareckas, your championship leader, going for P2 against Jofert. No big issues whatsoever, and Grantas Kareckas is gonna look at having and handling the heaviest car on the field again in the 2 weeks time from now. He is looking at P3 finish overall, I believe, in this championship. That's gonna be plus other 5 kilograms added to the total weight of the car of the driver for the remaining rounds. Here, Ostlund battling Butvela and Svetins. Narbutas is a little bit further behind. No, actually, Narbutas is right on the tail of Svetins. That's Bielskus and Meškelis, the other Sim Studio drivers behind. And look at Svetins. Svetins is having a look into the second right-hander, which is a pretty fast corner. I believe it's the drivers make it in fourth gear. Slight contact between Svetins and Butvela, as Narbutas is trying to wait out for his chance. Svetins runs a little bit wide. There's gonna be another battle between Svetins and Butvela and also Narbutas, as we see Jofert trying to run away from this pack. And Meškelis and Bielskus have joined the party, so it's 6 cars in total trying to better their places in this race. Let's ride on board with Meškelis, currently the last car on this battle as Svetins has managed to overtake Butvila, but he runs wide into turn 1. Radekis sets the fastest lap time so far, but that's way too late. He's up to P20, but I believe he's looking at a very probable penalty after this race as Straub and Vincenzic joined this battle. Remember, Vincenzic was pretty fast in the first race just before he had a big accident. He's now right on the tail of Straub as Meškelis. I think he's struggling. He's a little bit too nice. Meškelis is one very, very nice, gentle driver, and while he found himself behind Bielskus and couldn't find a spot on the track to overtake without taking risk, he finds himself battling Straupe. A small contact between two of the drivers. Straupe is off the racetrack. That was definitely not intentional. Straupe lost a couple of places, and Vincenzic won 2 of them. Meškelis staying in the very same 10th spot that he lost out to Straupe, and now he's losing out to Vincenzic after that small battle. I don't think there was an issue. It was close racing, just a small tap to the right side of the Straupe BMW made him lose the traction, but not too much time. This is quite a usual view as we look at the battles. This is Narbutas and Butvila. Wow, a late move. Nice cooperation by Dainius Butvila. He definitely noticed Narbutas taking that move, left him plenty of space to avoid those contacts, as we've seen before with drivers. Fast drivers trying to make overtake attempts, but this is just a proof how hard it is to overtake in these cars, no matter what racetrack you are driving on. This is the Bikernieki racetrack, one of the tracks that has definitely some opportunities on the table for the drivers to make those moves as Dainius Butvila goes defensive. Narbutas tries to find a small gap. Let's sit on board with Bielskus. He's currently 8th. Tries to follow down his teammate for P6, which, well, Bielskus for P7 because Narbutas goes P6 in a very nice battle. He managed to overtake Dainius Butvila, but as you already know, this battle is far from over. What about Vincenzic and Meškelis? That's Meškelis and Vincenzic. Wow, in the fastest corners of the racetrack, Meškelis managed to go around the outside on Vincenzic in that very fast right-hander, and he granted himself the inside line for the next corner. Now I think he just slightly compromised his exit, and that's gonna be a very huge chance for Vincenzic. Definitely Meškelis lining up for the inside to try and defend the position. He'll have to run a little bit slower, so let's follow up with Meškelis. Is he gonna be a slightly too gentle driver? Loses the traction. This is gonna be a nice chance for Straupe. Nice battles throughout the track, but Meškelis managed to overtake Vincenzic at this moment for P9. Bielskus still right behind Butvila. This is a 3-car battle. Butvila taking that curb, and it was a little bit too much. Sends his car jumping into the air, but let's Bielskus through. So now that's Narbutas 6th, Meškelis Bielskus 7th, Butvila 8th. Cameraman still trying to figure out what those race control cars are doing in the pit lane as we get back on the racetrack with Butvila, who is now being chased down by Meškelis, Vincenzic and Straupe. And there's next battle further ahead of these drivers. That should be Svetins and Ostlund battling for P4. Jofert finds himself a very comfortable 3rd place in the 2nd race. Karetskas, he's 2.5 seconds behind Viglione, and I don't think he's gonna make it unless Viglione makes some mistakes, but this is the way the championship is gonna pan out. Who's off the racetrack is in the... Oh, Meškelis straight into the air, jumps into the wall, receives a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and he definitely took that curb a little bit too granted. And to tell you what, I've seen real cars flying, and I think that Meškelis is sending his BMW off the racetrack into the wall in turn 1. That's enough for him. Yep, Meškelis, ADNF, there's another car, and in the barriers, Vaškevičius was in the barriers, but back on the topic about the mistake that Meškelis made, we didn't see if that was a pure driver mistake for pushing a little bit too hard, or it was coming from that harsh battles with the rivals, but I own a very nice photograph of a real 325 Cup BMW taking that curb for a fly and sending the car 4 wheels into the air, similar as we've seen happening with Meškelis. And yep, that curb is there to cause the drivers some real issues. And sometimes, well, if you clip it, you can definitely hope for big troubles. And the least that you can expect to have a broken car if you not send it flying into the air, as Meškelis did, and as some of, well, at least one of the drivers on the real track have managed to do. This is Bielskus versus Narbutas, battling for P6. 6 minutes on the clock, so 4 laps to very quick calculations, maybe 5 in total. We've completed 14 laps in the first race. This is Bielskus and Narbutas. Narbutas making a mistake while I was looking at the results. Somehow, no, actually Narbutas stays in front, Bielskus stays behind, so maybe the different camera angles, the strange camera angle and the identical car liveries made me not separate these two drivers. This is Butvila and Vincenzic. So the race, the second race for Dainius Butvila is not going so neatly. He's constantly losing places and going rearwards in this race. He's currently 8th, being pressured by Vincenzic and Straupe. What about Žadeikis? Žadeikis is up to P13 already, 2 seconds ahead of Slisans, 6 seconds ahead of Ilvidaite, and still has a slight a couple of laps to try and improve even further, well, at least by 2 places. He can find himself in P11, though Talianos is currently 11th. Remember, this is the driver who won the qualifying session, who finished first in the first race and saw big issues in the second one, as a lot of drivers, a lot of fast drivers also did. So a couple of battles in the top 10 places between 2 teammates, and then we have these 3 cars. So the 2 teammates, they have to be really clever right now. They have to think carefully through their actions. They have a slight gap for themselves to try and take at least 1 battle on the track. But there's still some time on the clock, so maybe it's still a little bit too early to initiate, because both of the cars have, looks like they have a pace advantage, but there they go, Bielskus versus Narbutas, side by side into the first right-hander after the bridge corner. This is definitely Bielskus trying to go around the outside, and nice cooperation by Narbutas. He definitely didn't want to make a contact with his teammate, and this is really nice team driving. What a performance by Bielskus. This is the second race of the championship, and it's already the second time as I see the driver having a really nice racecraft. If you compare his pace to the previous year, there's definitely plenty of improvement seen in the hands of the driver Marius Bielskus, who is now up to P6 right in front of his teammate. The race is still far from over. Look in the background, they are still very close to each other, very similar pace by both of the drivers. Let's hop on board on the roof, actually, of the driver Narbutas, who is trying to keep up with Bielskus, and both of the drivers try to run away of this 3-car pack. We run around with Straupe, we run on the roof with Straupe, who tries to chase down Vincenzic and Butvila in the battle for P8. Looks like Butvila is slightly struggling. Small camera shuffle. How do you like this camera? We can see the angle in front, and we can see what's happening behind the driver. This is definitely Butvila on board. He tries to chase down Narbutas, while both of the drivers try to chase down Butvila. Well, actually, it's Vincensik who stays behind Butvila. Straupe had some sort of issues, and he lost the gap to these cars, leaving two BMWs. BMWs battled it out for P8. Butvila holds on strongly, and well, Kareckas, he goes. He continues to push, even slightly, but he puts a big pressure on the shoulders of Viglione as we start the penultimate lap of this race. So 2 laps to go and only 0.6 of a second. So I thought the battle for the lead is over, but it looks like Viglione manages to do some mistakes. Maybe the pressure on the shoulders is a little bit too high for the driver from Italy, who is definitely performing here really well, and there's definitely plenty on the table to try for, because the prizes are phenomenal in this championship. Thanks to the main sponsors, LIK Racing Division, powered by KTK Racing Division. This is KTK Racing Division changing the names after their university changed the name, and they are being very nice sponsors for this championship. The winner of the championship will get his hands on this BMW Turbo Cup car in the real world, on the real racetracks, and so there's gonna be 2 other drivers who will be the fastest out of the drivers who have never raced in the real BATCC championship on the real tracks. They will get another chance. So whether you have raced in the real world, you try to be the fastest of them all, but if you haven't raced in the BATCC championship, you try to be the fastest of everyone who haven't raced on the real tracks. And who knows, you might get your chance to try out this new vehicle, which is still unfamiliar for most of the drivers, for most of the engineers. And I believe it was only one test session on the Nemuno racetrack by LIK Racing Division. And still some answers, a lot of answers gonna be find out. That's Viglione. That's Viglione into the wall, and Kareckas goes into the lead. That's Jofert for P2. And that's the final lap of this race. Viglione has led this race for the most amount of time, and he only had to finish. I'm not sure if that was a mistake or maybe there was a contact, but well, we don't have the replay system here on the original Corsa title, and it's no chance for us to figure this out, but the win goes into the hands of Grantas Kareckas, the winner of the first round. That's gonna be a very strong result, and I think Grantas Kareckas will be the overall winner of the second round, because the win gives you a lot of points. And remember, Cajoni finished 10th in the first race and first in the second race 1 week ago, and he found himself second overall. So Kareckas finished 4th in the first race. He will finish first in the second race, ahead of Jofert, ahead of Viglione, who made a huge mistake on the final lap, ahead of Oslund and Svetens, Bielskus right in front of Narbutas. This is a very nice teamwork. Butvila manages to keep in front of Vincensik. Straupe made that mistake, but still finishes 10th. Talianos up to 11th, Žadeikis up to 12th after both of the drivers. So huge mistakes. Slisans 13th, Ulvidaita 14th, even a better result in the second race. Congratulations, this is the LIK Racing Division official driver. And actually, if you look at the livery, not finding a very nice angle, this is the livery that we will see on the real racetracks. What about that? That's Racing and Cajoni. I think Cajoni was not happy about Racing or something about it. Something for the referees to look at, because even though we had a finish, these accidents, well, I wouldn't call them very nice to do. No matter what happens on the racetrack, I'm pretty sure no one makes action on purpose, so everyone needs to keep their calm. Of course, this is a virtual environment, and we've seen Meškelis not handling it. And well, after that big jump and hitting the wall, he managed to teleport himself off the racetrack. Maybe it was connection issue, not sure, but it looked like Meškelis just went off the racetrack. Maybe it was connection issue. Sometimes it happens. So that's it. Actually, the second round is over. These are only the unofficial results of the second race, but let's congratulate Grantas Kareckas with yet another win, and I think he'll get the overall win of this round. All the points of both of the races count towards the overall result, and I think Grantas Kareckas has the biggest chance to have the biggest amount of points this afternoon. Jofrid second, Viglione third, Ostlund fourth, Svetins fifth, Bielskus P6, Narbutas P7, Butvila P8, Vincenzic 9th, Straupe 10th, Talianos 11th, Žadeikis 12th, Slisans 13th, Ulvidaite 14th, Frezen 15th, Kašonis 16th, Vaškevičius 17th, Juodis 18th, Kovalevskis 19th, Jansons 20th, Meškelis 21st, and Rudzinskis 22nd. So, I hope you definitely enjoyed the racing action, which, well, personally for me is one of the most favorite series on the World Sim Series platform, taking place once every year at the very beginning, just before we see the real season starting. And the next race of the virtual E-BaTCC BMW Turbo Cup Championship will take place on the 10th of April, and we will head over to Porschering in Estonia. So let's keep waiting for the next interesting races of the championship. Congratulate every winner of this race. I really hope you enjoyed this one. Stay safe, stay cool, and have a good evening. See you later.
Gear up for the ride of your life. Shop now.
All my life been looking for it. I think I found something to help with easing the pain. This voice inside my head isn't dead. I think it's growing. Soon we will